You're watching Las Vegas 1. News and information 24/7.
Airport traffic and gaming revenue are down 15%. The jobless rate is in the double digits. Is now any time to raise taxes on business? And what about on tourists? We'll ask activists at both ends of the political spectrum. That's next on Face to Face.
Tough questions, direct answers. This is Face to Face with John Ralston.
Welcome to Face to Face. I'm John Ralston. Remember Speaker Barbara Buckley's impassioned speech in which she pledged never again would Nevada face potentially crippling cuts to state services? With the state, its businesses, and citizens suffering from the recession, can Buckley keep her promise? Joining me to talk about it, journalist turned liberal activist Erin Neff. And from the right, conservative Chuck Muth. Welcome to the program to both of you.
Morning.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the room tax first. As we're taping this, the Senate is supposed to be taking this up again. They couldn't get the votes to pass it. We're going to assume that they probably will pass it today, but up there in the legislature, we don't know by the time this airs. Is passing a room tax progress now or not?
It's filling a hole in the budget now is what it is. I wouldn't call it progress. It's something they have to do. The governor has put it into his budget, although at a higher amount than the revenue will bring in. It's certainly not progress, but as we look at this, the debates they're having on these other issues, whether it's the fairness issue or whether it's do we want to put an initiative petition into tax law? I mean, those kind of issues are going to really weigh down this process when we actually do get a revenue plan and we actually do talk about something that's progressive as the session goes on.
You've written a lot about this room tax, this initiative petition. You are a tax purist, or should I say anti-tax purist, but you have great admiration for the teachers union and not so much for the new minority leader of the state Senate, Bill Raggio. Let me show you what you wrote about the room tax measure in the Pahrump Valley Times, one of your many outlets. The bill now moves over to the Senate, where moderate, like a dirty word for Chuck Muth, Senate Minority Leader Bill Raggio will secure the necessary number of Republican votes to rubber stamp the bill, after which Governor Gibbons will formally spit on his pledge to, quote, oppose and veto any and all efforts to raise taxes by signing it, thus handing a ginormous victory to a special interest which is, always has been, and always will be the GOP's mortal enemy. You're referring to the teachers union. Game, set, match. Textbook victory. Maybe Republicans should stick to tiddlywinks. This is from a guy who's an advisor to the Republican Party.
Yeah, but they don't listen.
They don't apparently, right?
No, and you know what I found fascinating, and I still think this tax, as you said, is going to be approved today, and it's going to have significant Republican
Did you stop
support.
It yesterday? Was that you, Mr. Muth?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wish I could take credit for that. But I wish the debate that they had yesterday, there were some issues that were raised in the Senate, in the debate, that no one from the Assembly even thought about. I think the problem in the Assembly is a lot of these Republicans simply rubber stamp an issue without actually thinking about it. At least the Senate thought about it. Should we do this by initiative? One of the key parts is that budget hole will only be filled for the next biennium, at which case that revenue then has to go to salaries for teachers. It can't be used to fill any budget hole if it's still there 2 years. So they're going to have to do it all over again. And that debate never occurred in the Assembly, and it should have.
To use a word that's now popular on a national level, this revenue is earmarked. It's right. Earmarking. Some of the senators, at least, objected to it. But you know, Chuck Muth described this, Ms. Neff, as a political extortion against the gaming industry because the industry feared the teachers union's original plan, which was to raise the gross gaming tax. Let me show you what Mr. Muth wrote in a special to the Review Journal. He'll write anywhere. The thought of their own ox being gored so spooked three strip gaming companies that instead of fighting the tax hike, they caved into the extortion threat and teamed up with the union on a scheme to, quote, tax the guy behind the tree. Thus was born a room tax hike on the state's tourists who had no say in the matter whatsoever. Now, what I was wondering is how tourists might really actually feel about this. This must be such an onerous tax. And Jonathan Humbert of Channel 8 went out and interviewed some tourists. Listen to what they said.
It wouldn't be an issue in the slightest.
That's not going to bother us at all. Not going to keep us from coming. Now, if it got up to $400 a night, yeah, I'd worry about it. But at the rate where they are now, if they give you the credits and everything, and we come out okay.
Yeah, you're chuckling. I mean, it's no big deal, right? This room tax. I mean, it should be part of the mix, shouldn't it?
I think it should be part of the mix. I don't know if it should have come from initiative petition in a threatening way, the way this one came out. But look, tourists pay 14% in New York, 13% in Atlantic City. This gets us to 13%, I think, in Clark County. So this is not necessarily, out there. And in terms of raising revenue, I can make arguments for other things tourists aren't going to notice or aren't going to care much about. But as part of a progressive plan, it's only one small portion. We're talking about, one grape in the fruit salad.
Does it bother you that the big grape here is Clark County, and we're essentially subsidizing the entire state again, as usual? All of this money is coming from Clark County. They can say it's coming from Washoe too, but it's not.
Well, that's the way the state has been driven, and it's the way it operates. Revenue is down statewide, but when you have the majority of the gaming companies coming to the table and they're saying, okay, raise the room tax 3%, as opposed to that onerous gaming tax that was threatened, they can withstand this. Obviously, they testified to that in Carson City.
Right. Kim Sinatra of Wynn Resorts said this will have no effect on their stock price. When we come back, let's talk about this general policy of initiative petitions. I think Chuck Muth has like 7 of them online. And we'll talk about generally the budget problems up in Carson City. What should they do? Back in a moment.